Hi, welcome back to Orlando Experience. Today, I thought we would take a stroll right down the road from Universal Studios Florida and take a look at Universal's newest theme park here in Florida, Epic Universe. This is Universal's most ambitious project they have ever done, a park on a huge scale with multiple immersive lands, dining, rides, and experiences. But for now, let's start right at the front where your adventure will start in this stunning new park here in Florida. Before we get started today, I wanted to give a huge shout out to BioReconstruct on X or Twitter. He's the one that takes all these aerial photos of the construction sites, and he takes a lot of aerial photos of all the parks down here. So definitely go check him out and give him a follow. As we come up on the gates, we see our first portal into this universe, and it's in the stars. Celestial Park is our hub, but that does not mean there isn't a ton to do here. There is much to do in this constellation-themed land. So, as the name kind of implies, this is going to be a park, so there's a lot of water features, a lot of foliage, including some nice seating areas, but overall, it's just going to be a very nice area to kind of even just walk around. I think this will be an area, especially in the middle of the day, and you're kind of wiped out from riding a ride or two. This is going to be such a nice space to kind of relax, especially in the winter months when it's cooler out and stuff. This is going to be a fantastic area for that. So as we are here, I figured we should start off with a couple of the restaurants and the shops in this area. The first restaurant we're coming up on is Atlantic, and this is going to be a full service location, so this is going to be more similar to like a sit-down location where you're going to probably need a reservation, or if they do have walk-up, this is definitely going to be a higher-end type restaurant with an emphasis on steaks and seafood and like higher-end kind of food like that. But this concept art is breathtaking. I mean, even if it looks half this good, this restaurant will look amazing to even walk past. It has such a nice view. They do have some information about it on the website, and they do have a fast fact that the decorative fish that line the ceiling are surrounded by metallic curtains that shimmer and sway, creating kind of the illusion of you being underwater in a massive aquarium. Again, this restaurant, even though it will be full service, so that's kind of going to make this restaurant a much more higher price point, this is going to be breathtaking, especially to dine in, but even to walk past, this building looks amazing. The next restaurant we come across in Celestial Park is going to be called the Blue Dragon Pan-Asian Restaurant. This is obviously an Asian restaurant, but again, I want to emphasize how good this building looks. Again, this is concept art. Concept art doesn't always come out exactly how we see it in the concept art, but so far, I really do think they will achieve a lot of this. This is going to be another full service, so it's going to be, again, higher price point. Both these restaurants will be serving alcoholic beverages if you're 21 and over. This is, your Asian kind of style restaurant. Another one where the concept art looks amazing. And again, the whole courtyard area out in this restaurant just looks really great, and I think it will have a really great feel where you won't really feel like you're inside the theme park as much, and it's kind of secluded enough that I would be even surprised if it's pretty quiet in there too, other than other diners. The fast fact in here is that to keep your eyes open while you're dining, the signage hanging around the restaurant contains many Easter eggs of Celestial Park that you won't want to miss. So they're adding a lot of detail into these restaurants. This is something Universal is really good at, is adding a lot of detail into the restaurants and shops. I mean, this is probably their bread and butter. I think they can do so well with these. But we're coming up on one of the shops that they have announced right now. So the shop we're coming up to is called Nintendo Superstar Store. This is obviously a Nintendo store. It's going to be right out front of the portal. So just literally just straight out the front. I wouldn't be surprised if all the lands are getting this treatment, but this is the only one we have confirmation of right now and have concept art of. I really like the theme of this. I think it looks like it fits. I love the foliage on the building and stuff, but I like the castle look, especially of the interior area. I think it really matches both Celestial Park and the Nintendo feel very, very well. And if you can kind of see in this concept art right now, kind of above, they do have like constellations that kind of match up to some of the characters. Again, this is what Universal has always been the best at, is the shops. Their tribute stores every year are just phenomenal for shopping experiences. So very excited for this. But we're going to move on to something a little more interesting. So since we're done talking about some of the shops and dining experiences, I figured we'd move into some of the rides. Our first one we come across is going to be called Stardust Racers. This is going to be a dueling Mack Rides launch coaster. This is, I think, going to be a very big hit for this park. I think it will even compete with something like Velocicoaster. A lot of people do remember Dueling Dragons very fondly, and I think this will be a very good replacement for that. I think a lot of people really like this. So it hits up to speeds of 62 miles an hour, it hits heights of 133, and it's got about 5,000 feet of track. The main kind of like image point of this, kind of a good photo spot, is known as the Celestial Spin, and it's kind of out front of the ride with a comet in the background. One big thing I want to talk about with this ride that I think is super cool is there is no external lighting at night on the track. So the only way the track is getting lit up at night is going to be through the coasters. I anticipate it looking very, very cool at night because it will just be the bright lights of the coaster going through the sky, so it's supposed to replicate kind of looking like a comet. The next ride we come up on here is going to be the Constellation Carousel, and this will be a fantastic addition to this main area. I think especially with a lot of families kind of hanging out and stuff in this area, I think having a nice carousel with no height requirement is a great spot to be. It is going to be a carousel obviously themed off of constellations and different animals from constellations and stuff. One of the cool things about this carousel is the ceiling is a star tracker, and it like features rotating celestial star patterns that will kind of create like a ribbon effect in the middle while you're spinning around. I think this will be a very appealing carousel, and it will kind of have a good look to it. As this is the hub area for the park, that does mean that we're going to have a nighttime show here. Not fully announced yet, so we won't know much about it at the current time, but we do know a few things. First, that it is going to be back there next to the hotel. You're kind of seeing it right now in a giant kind of lake with a bunch of fountains, so another kind of fountain show. But the big thing to look forward to with this show is the fireworks. So if you've ever been to a Universal park, at least recently, you know fireworks are a little more toned down there, and that's because they're closer to residential areas, so they can't have the big fireworks you see at like Disney as easily. This new park, though, is not as close to residential areas, so they have been testing out some bigger fireworks for this one. So I do anticipate some bigger fireworks for this show. I could even see some drones being implemented in this show too. So we do have one more thing to talk about before we head into any of the lands, and that is in the very back, next to said nighttime show. It's going to be the Helios Grand Hotel, and this is going to be a themed hotel kind of to Celestial Park, with a lot of glass included into it to make it very picturesque with the background and fit in very well. It is going to have an exclusive and decadent entrance just for people staying in the hotel. That I do think is pretty warranted, because I expect this price tag to be very, very high, especially one facing the park, because you'll be able to even watch the nighttime show from your hotel room. Maybe not the greatest view if they are shooting off fireworks from the other side of the hotel, but you will be able to do that. This is, I've talked about it in the past, this is a bucket list hotel for me already. I mean, the views you're going to get at nighttime is going to be amazing. Especially waking up in the morning, similar to something at Cabana Bay where you wake up and you see Volcano Bay. But this is going to be that on like a 10 times scale. You're going to be able to wake up in your hotel room and look out the window and just see this massive grand park in front of you. And as we look back down from the stars, we look to a land at the bottom left, one of mushrooms, plumbers, and minecarts. We have come across Super Nintendo World. Even though this is new to us here in Florida, if you keep up with theme park news, you will know that there's actually already 2 of these in the world, but ours will come with some upgrades. The first Super Nintendo World opened back in 2020 at Universal Studios Japan, and then in 2023 they opened one at Universal Studios Hollywood. And now we are getting it here. So our one dining spot we're going to talk about right now is going to be called the Toadstool Cafe. Again, this is not new to us and the theme park industry. We've had 2 of these already, but I do anticipate ours being a little less busy because we're an all-new park. I do anticipate back in the Donkey Kong area, maybe there being a little kiosk or something, but this is the only full dining location here. It will be a quick service dining option, so it's going to be a little bit quicker. I would say something akin to the Minion Cafe or the new Circus McGurkus that opened at Islands, if you've been to either of those. Kind of similar feel to that. It will have Chef Toad cooking up your food for you, and you'll be able to see outside into the Mushroom Kingdom with some screens kind of interacting with the area outside. So one thing I do think people will be very excited for in this land is there is going to be some meet and greets. They seem to be at the other ones kind of intermediate. There is spots where you can meet certain characters, but I do anticipate them being a little more wild about it, and especially the one in Japan. I know they just kind of stand there and you just kind of wait in a circle, but that's a little more of a cultural thing. With us, I'm sure we'll have lines with our area being a little bit bigger because they are extending our area a tad, because that's one of the issues with the other lands is they just are so packed and so busy. So we're getting a little bit of an extended and bigger version of the area. One more thing we got to talk about before we get into the rides is the power-up bands. Again, if you've kept up with any of the other ones, you do know much about these. Think of them almost like Magic Band Pluses, but a little more fleshed out. So they have a little more interactivity with the land. You'll be able to go around and actually play a full game where you'll have to go collect some collectibles, and then there's even a interactive battle at the end with Bowser Jr. It does require a purchase. Obviously, you don't get these for free when you walk in. It's not like Volcano Bay. So you will have to go to the store and purchase it, almost like a Magic Band kind of situation. But I do think it's worth it, especially if you're a big Nintendo fan, because they also do work as amiibos for your Switch. As we're done looking at kind of meet and greets and amenities and stuff like that, stuff to do around the land, let's get into rides. So the first one I'm going to talk about is going to be Yoshi's Adventure. This, again, is at both the other ones. It is kind of a slow-moving, dark ride kind of thing, definitely aimed at kind of families and little ones, but that does not mean I'm not excited for this. I think it will be a very relaxing ride, and as long as it doesn't ever have too much of the wait, I think this will be worth it. Think of it almost like a people mover kind of thing, where you're going to kind of slowly go around the Mushroom Kingdom, get to see everything above, and get to see some special show scenes that you won't actually get to see from the ground. The main ride in the Mario area is going to be Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. As soon as you walk into the land, you'll see the giant castle looming in the back, basically beckoning you to enter it and take on this challenge. This is going to be one of the first ever augmented reality experiences, and the only one Universal has ever messed with. If you don't know what augmented reality is, think of it almost like VR, but you're overlaying the real world with video game type experiences. So it's going to be closer to kind of a shooting ride where you're using the wheel to make movements and stuff, and then you'll be able to see like other carts going around you with practical sets moving in everywhere, and it will feel very alive thanks to the augmented reality. This has gotten mixed opinions as it has opened. Some people think it is revolutionary. Some people are not on the same bandwagon and wish it was more physical. I'm excited to ride it for myself to get my own opinion on it, but I think overall this will be another family attraction for this area. Now we're going to be heading back to Donkey Kong Country that will be at the back of the land. Minecraft Madness is going to be themed around the Golden Temple. You're going to be protecting Donkey Kong's Golden Banana. The cool thing about this ride, and the reason a lot of people are so excited for it, is going to be the ride system. As you can see in some of the concept image, it kind of seems like you're jumping over track that shouldn't really be possible or safe. But that's because it's all an illusion. The real track is below the fake track, so it's always going to look like you're kind of hanging on and barely making jumps, but it's all obviously safe. I'm very excited for this ride. I'm really curious to see how it feels to ride and how much they can make that illusion work, especially hiding that track underneath from plain view, because a lot of the ride you'll be able to see actually out front, and you can kind of see it moving around and all the mine carts jumping and stuff. So I'm curious to see how well they can hide all of the mechanical parts of this ride. Overall, a very good land to start with here at the front of the park. I think even if you're not a huge Nintendo fan, you'll find a lot to love in this land, with some heavily themed elements, great interactivity, and some of the most mind-blowing rides Universal has ever tried to dream up. I think overall, a lot of people will love this land, especially families with little ones will enjoy this land a lot because everything is fairly family friendly. Well, at least that one was. The more timid among you will not like the monsters you find inside our next portal. We have come across a land filled with horrors, monsters, and some surprisingly good-looking food. You just passed through the portal of Dark Universe. As you pass through the portal, you'll walk up a small path, and you'll see a sign for a village, Darkmoor. This is our setting for this story. As you enter the village, you will feel an unease as you walk around. You'll feel like there's eyes watching you from the shadow and lots of dark corners, and there's areas that you don't want to explore, but you're beckoned towards. Some of the restaurants in this land look very interesting, so I figured we'll start off with some of that. The first restaurant we're going to talk about is Das Steakhouse. This is going to be themed to an old inn built over some ancient catacombs. This is going to be a restaurant all themed around vampires' familiars, and they're going to be the ones serving you your food. Though there is warnings to not venture too deep into the catacombs because you might find yourself on a different menu. Overall, I'm very excited for this. It is going to be another quick service spot, so another kind of not really probably super cheap, but it won't be as expensive as some of the ones we saw in Celestial Park. A cool fact about this is that there's going to be paintings all around the restaurant that will depict the world kind of more in the vampires' point of view. So you're going to see them kind of depicted as their heroes, and even as some of the history of the land and the area around it. The second restaurant we've come to in Dark Universe is going to be the Burning Blade Tavern. That's going to be themed to an old mill that the monster hunters have transformed into their hangout spot. This old mill will have a effect similar to the one in Gringotts and Diagon Alley, with the dragon on top where it will burst into flames throughout the day, making you want to go inside. This is going to be more your standard affair, another quick service, but it will be more meat forward with burgers, wings, bratwurst. Then they'll also supposedly have pretzels, and then they'll also have alcoholic beverages for in here. I'm really excited for this one because they're saying that we'll be able to hear stories of the monster hunters and their hunts for different ones. You'll be able to see the heads hanging on the walls and the weapons they've used. I think overall this is the one I'm most excited for, just because of the immersive storytelling that will be able to be held inside of this tavern. So when we're on the kind of side of shopping, I'm going to talk about one of the main focal points they made when talking about this land was the new Monsters makeup. So they did test this out in Universal not too long ago. It wasn't there very long. I didn't personally do it because I thought it was too expensive for what you're getting. Obviously, you are getting more of a Hollywood makeup experience to get turned into a Universal monster, but you're not really getting a full costume or anything, just facial makeup and stuff like that. I mean, I definitely could see some people really liking this, but for me, I don't know if this is fully worth it because you're just kind of not going to have it for a very long time. So, one more thing to talk about before we get onto the rides. This will excite a lot of people, and it's actually fairly exciting for me. I'm not a big character person. I don't usually go out of my way to meet characters, but at Dark Universe, you'll be able to meet some of the inhabitants of Darkmoor Village, including Frankenstein's monster and his bride, the Invisible Man, Yogur, and also some courageous monster hunters, and the one I'm most excited for, a musician who may regale you a song about the village. So you'll be able to hear some of the backstory from these characters and stuff, and you'll be able to hear from the monster hunter and interact with them. I am a little more worried about this part of the land, even though I'm really hoping they deliver well with it, because Disney at Star Wars Land promised something very, very similar, and they did not deliver on that, not even having many of the characters at all walking around. So if they can really pull this off, I think this will make this land so much more immersive and excite people to go inside of it. But now, as we're past that, let's go talk about a couple of the rides. The first ride we're going to talk about is going to be the coaster of this land. This is going to be a spinning coaster, and it's going to be called Curse of the Werewolf. This is all going to be themed about Maleva. She is the leader of the Guild of Mystics. She's going to welcome you into like a wagon camp area, but you're going to be warned about the creatures that are prowling deep in the woods and stuff. You're going to get on a coaster, and you're going to be riding throughout the woods on a full 2-minute ride, where you'll reach speeds of 37 miles an hour. So not the most thrilling of all of them. It will be a spinning coaster, so that will bump up the thrill for some, but not as much for others. Overall, I'm very excited for this ride. It does have at least one show scene we do know mainly about, where you'll enter kind of the middle, and you'll go through a launch, and there will be a werewolf kind of above you. Kind of similar to something like Expedition Everest over at Animal Kingdom, where it'll be more of a quick buy to it, but I think overall this will be a great coaster, and I'm very excited to see what they do with the show scenes and kind of weaving through the woods and all the shadows through the woods and stuff like that. This is another one that I think will be great at night too. I think there's so much in this park that I'm just so excited to ride at night, because going through the woods and stuff and seeing the werewolf at night will be significantly more scary than during the day, and a little more thematic. After you're having the thrills of the Wolfman, you'll come across the main attraction of this land, and personally, the one I'm most excited for at Epic Universe. This is Monsters Unchained: The Frankenstein Experiment. This is all going to be themed to Dr. Victoria Frankenstein's kind of trying to honor her ancestors' legacy by continuing to work to control monsters. When that goes awry, Dracula's going to lead a revolt of monsters against her and Frankenstein. So you're going to come across the Wolfman, the Mummy, Creature of the Black Lagoon, Phantom of the Opera. Basically, all the monsters that you know and love will be part of this ride. This ride system is going to be the same as Forbidden Journey, if you've ever ridden that. It's going to be an arm system, and it's going to have all physical sets, so no more screens. And we are promised that this ride will be very scary. So unlike a lot of other rides you ride in, this ride will probably have full-on jump scares. And they've also talked about a few of the ride elements, including this fact that they have on the website about the Phantom of the Opera's organs will have 14 individual flame points that will shoot vertical flames over 3 feet in the air. So this is going to be a very scary attraction, and I bet this will be one that not a lot of people will endure, because it's going to be very much a horror attraction. But the facade and what this ride is looking like, it just makes me so excited. This is such a theme that I love, and the ride system being able to kind of full on jump scare you, and having their new animatronics that they've talked about too in the video. They're claiming these are some of the most advanced animatronics in the world. I just think this ride's going to be great. So, as we're done hiding and jumping and screaming and being horrified by all the monsters, we look across the pond to the streets of 1920s Paris. Maybe there's a little bit of magic in there too. This is our newest addition to the Harry Potter story here at Universal Studios Florida. This is the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. This is promising to be an insane level of detail land. These buildings are supposed to be huge and towering and make you feel like you're truly in Paris in the 1920s, with lots of well-themed shops, obviously a wand shop, some butterbeer, a huge show, and the Ministry of Magic, of course, with a huge ride inside of it. So as you enter this new Harry Potter land, we are going to see across the way immediately a show tent and a lot of kind of theming all around you, with shop fronts and everything feeling very alive. This show tent is home to our newest show for the Harry Potter franchise, and it's going to be themed all around the Fantastic Beasts. So this whole outside area is obviously themed to the 1920s, and that's all kind of themed to the Fantastic Beasts area of the Harry Potter universe. The show for our land is Les Cirques Arcanis. I'm probably butchering that really bad. But this is going to be themed to a similar kind of sideshow circus we saw in the movies. This is going to be all about the ringmaster that steals Newt Scamander's suitcase that contains obviously all the Fantastic Beasts. He's going to be trying to use them to up his business. And it's all going to be up to a circus employee, Gwendolyn, to rescue the creatures. And this is going to be all a mix of live performers, puppetry, and a lot of special effects and stuff like this. I anticipate this show to be very special effects heavy, and I'm very excited to see what it kind of has to offer. This is going to be kind of have a queue line, and when you're in the queue line, you'll be able to kind of see a lot of the different beasts and stuff as you're walking past the show building and while you're in line. I think overall this will probably be a very good show because Universal hasn't disappointed with any of their new shows, so anticipate this one to being very special effects heavy, and especially if you like the Fantastic Beasts movies, you'll love this show. And as this is a Harry Potter land, I feel like shopping and dining is an integral part of the experience, with a lot of very well themed shops and stuff like that. There's going to be a new wand shop here. I'm not going to try to pronounce this one. I'll put it up on screen now. And this is going to be a special French, obviously, wand maker. And she's going to be selling new wands. As we've kind of seen in the past, we do know kind of how the wands work, but supposedly these are going to be new with new functionality. So obviously, as the other two Harry Potter lands, there will be wand interact points just like them, where you'll be able to go around certain like shop windows or out in the street and stuff, triggers do things with these wands. What I've heard is that the old wands will not be obsolete, but these new ones will have a lot of special features to them. And this new shop definitely looks like these wands will be a little more unique, and less like kind of going away from the character wands we kind of have now, and instead into more personalized and special wands that I definitely prefer. But definitely a lot of cool shopping experiences already promised for this land. We have been promised butterbeer already. They did show off that cart, so very excited for that. And now we've come up onto our main dining location, Café L'Heure de la Serene. I know. But this location is going to be more about French baked goods and sandwiches and desserts and stuff like that. It also does say on the website that we will have butterbeer in here too, so we'll have both a cart outside and then obviously if you're dining in here. This is another quick service location, as we've seen kind of as a common thread inside the lands. It kind of seems like inside the Celestial Park area will be more fine dining with inside the lands, and kind of your more average theme park goer is going to be inside of them being more of the quick service option. They have talked about some amazing different creations in here, including a dessert display of almost 2,000 decorative individual cream puffs. So overall, probably going to be a very good restaurant. Definitely probably going to be like the best dessert spot for the whole area. This one I anticipate being very, very busy. I just feel like a lot of people will be inside this land. Onto the main attraction here in the Ministry of Magic area. Obviously, this is going to be entering the Ministry of Magic. I'm going to akin this ride a lot more to something similar to Rise of Resistance over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. I think this will be a longer experience with kind of pre-shows and huge areas to look at and just stuff like that. This is going to be, I think, the like e-ticket ride for the park. This is going to be the one that everyone wants to ride, and after it opens, I think this is the one that everyone's going to talk about. Obviously, I think all the rides in this new park are like revolutionary, but I think this is the one that most people will talk about. So after you enter the Metro Flue, that's like a green like flame portal, you'll enter the Ministry of Magic. And this is obviously the British one, and we're going to be heading to 1990, so it will not be the same time period. And this is going to be taking place right after the movies, and this is going to be Dolores Umbridge's trial at the Ministry of Magic, because obviously she helped Voldemort. Ooh, spoiler. And you're going to be boarding a lift kind of style. We don't know a whole lot about this ride system right now, but we do know it's going to be kind of an elevator theme, but it's going to be moving around, but there is going to be elevator sections. And you're going to help Harry, Ron, and Hermione journey through the Ministry of Magic and fight off all the Death Eaters and capture Dolores Umbridge. This ride, again, I think is going to be a massive scale. They've showed off a little bit of the animatronics for this ride, and it's going to be kind of a mix between physical and screens and a lot of changing sets and stuff. This is, again, going to be the pinnacle, I think, of this park, and the one that everyone's talking about because of the sheer size of the whole thing. I almost can guarantee you the second you enter the Ministry of Magic, your jaw will drop at the size of everything and the full scale of everything. Being very, again, similar to Rise of Resistance, when you get off that transport ship and you're in that Star Destroyer, you get that feeling of almost like, oh, I'm here, this is it kind of moment. And I think this will have a very similar feeling when you're walking through the queue all through the Ministry and stuff, where you'll just be like, wow, this is the area kind of thing. Even though this land is only opening with one ride at the moment, I think this will end up probably being the most immersive land, if not one of the most immersive lands in the entire world. This is just mind-blowing looking. The streets alone with the tall, long buildings and interactive windows and shops, restaurants, the show promising to be a great stage area, and the ride having a huge queue and amazing animatronics already. I mean, I think this will just be insane when you walk into it. I think as soon as we can get into this park, people will not stop talking about this land. So now we've got our butterbeers and wands, let's over to our last of our portals at the bottom right, an aisle filled with Vikings and dragons. How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk is going to be a huge land. Tons of rides. It's going to have meet and greets, including with Hiccup and Toothless, and it's going to have a huge stage show, a huge dining location, and just some great looking areas, and really well themed with a lot of water, and gives you that really like island kind of feel. I'm very excited for this land. I'm excited to see how it turns out. This one's definitely a little more chaotic, I would say, than the other lands. Nintendo definitely has the same kind of feel of there's a lot going on around you. It's hard to know where to start here, but I would say that dining hall on that mountain is probably a good way to start it. So surprisingly, I think the food location for this area is actually one of its main attractions. If you've ever seen the movie, you obviously know Mead Hall. That's a main fixture point for the movie. This is going to be a giant indoor quick service location with a lot of kind of big tables and more of a hearty menu with themes on kind of Viking feasts with meat, fish, sandwiches, and stuff. I'm excited for this restaurant a lot. I think its overall feel and the tapestry everywhere and stuff will be great. I'm especially excited just to enter it because they've said that the doors are an impressive 16 feet and 7 inches. These are going to be huge doors you're going to enter from, and I think a lot of people will end up really liking this restaurant, not just for its menu, but its overall theming and kind of more of a gathering kind of feel to a restaurant. So, as we've just eaten, I say we should digest a little bit. Let's go see one of the characters you'll be able to meet and greet. They have confirmed now that you will be able to meet Hiccup and Toothless in a meet and greet. How that will work, I'm not really sure, but I already know some people that are so excited for this land, and I'm sure they will die over the fact that you'll be able to meet both Hiccup and Toothless in a meet and greet by themselves. So, after meeting both Toothless and Hiccup, I say we should go see him in action. We're coming across the main draw, I think, of this land for a lot of people, because this show has been so well received. The Untrainable Dragon is going to be an action comedy with some music mixed in there. It's going to be a huge stage show with some huge puppets and stuff going on. As I said before, people are very excited because the show already exists over at Universal Beijing. And this has been very, very well received over there, being called one of the best theme park shows. So I'm very excited to see it. One of the main things they want to highlight is the giant Toothless that will fly over the audience, weighing over 1,000 pounds, and its wingspan being nearly 27 feet, so a full-size one. Obviously, if you're a big fan, this show is going to knock you out. I think even if not, this is probably going to end up being one of the best theme park shows with just its huge puppets, live actors, and just some of the jaw-dropping moments that it's coming with. So now we're done digesting all the food and meeting all the characters. We're going to head over to some of the rides. One of the first ones we're going to talk about is going to be Dragon Racers Rally. This is going to be a flat ride that's just themed very heavily, kind of themed to dragon racing and stuff like that. It's going to be a flat ride that is a winged flat ride where you'll be able to control your spin rate. If you're one of our friends over in Europe, or you've ever been to some of the parks over there, this is a very common flat ride over there, but over here in the States, it's actually not as common as it is. So, excited to see it. I think overall it will be a very well-themed version of it. I think usually they're just kind of thrown into places because it's a flat ride. So, not on my top of my list for rides to ride, but I think it will be a good thrill ride in this area. The next ride we come to is Fire Drill, and this is going to be our only in-park water ride that I'm super excited for, obviously. This is going to be a splash battle ride that we've seen a lot of parks. Even here in Florida, we do have one over at Legoland. It's a ride where you're going to kind of be sitting down and you'll have like water cannons, stuff to shoot, and other boats. You'll also be shooting them to get them wet. I'm fairly excited for this ride. I think splash battles are pretty fun. These are soakers. You will get absolutely drenched on a good splash battle. So I anticipate this being the same with some special effects and stuff going on. Obviously all themed to like dragons causing a little bit of fire, and you're supposed to be training to put them out. I'm very excited. I think this park is very needing of a water ride, so I'm glad that they decided to put one in here. And I think it will be very well themed with a kind of fun cardboard looking theme to the whole thing. The last ride we're coming to in Epic Universe is Hiccup's Wing Gliders. This is going to be a launched Intamin coaster that is definitely going to be more of a family kind of style experience, staying a little bit lower to the ground and generally not being too intense. I think that's overall good for this kind of land, because obviously it being a very heavily themed kids land is gonna there's no reason to make a coaster with a bunch of loops. But it's gonna be kind of themed to Hiccup and him making a way for us to experience dragon flying in its workshop. But then Toothless is gonna sabotage it. I don't know if that's actually gonna be in the ride or if it's gonna be before. And then it's gonna kind of sending us through Berk wildly and sending us all around. It's going to have some show scenes throughout it, it looks like. It even looks like it might have a splash point where it can splash people on land and stuff. I think overall it looks like a great coaster for this area, and I definitely think this is going to be the main draw for this area, with having a very long wait. Overall, a great land. I forgot to mention that it is kind of between the second and third movie in that area. So, if you're a big fan of the movies, you know what I'm talking about. Kind of in a good grace period. I think this will be a great family land, similar to Nintendo, and I'm kind of glad those are across the way from each other. I think that's smart. Kind of family lands there, and then kind of the more adult lands back in the back. But I think they're doing a good mix of it. I think both lands, though, have rides that appeal to everybody. I think that coaster, actually both the coasters in both Nintendo and How to Train Your Dragon, I think are going to be great for families, and everyone will kind of enjoy it. But overall, I think it's a great land. I think it's going to be really well themed. I'm excited to actually enter the dining hall, because that's actually one of the reasons I'm most excited, and especially to see that stage show. As we are done riding dragons, playing with fantastic beasts, seeing the horrors of our dreams, and finding some weird plumbers, we made it back to the stars, right where we started. This park is truly looking like it could be world class, and definitely the biggest project Universal Orlando has ever taken under. I would even say biggest project they've taken under as a company ever. This park truly looks like you'll be able to immerse yourself into multiple lands, all themed around different IPs that you know and love. Some may even say this park is looking pretty epic. Thanks for watching. This is obviously kind of a different kind of video than what we normally do. If you followed us for a while, you know we're more of vloggers, and we film constructions and shows and rides and stuff like that. So this is a little more out of the ordinary. So I would love to know what you guys think, if you like this video or not. You want me to do more sit down videos and talk about things like this, because I won't really know unless you like the video or you go down and comment. But also let me know what you guys are excited for with Epic. Obviously, I think this will end up being probably one of the best parks in the world. Don't know if it will be the best park. Obviously, it's not open yet, so it's hard to tell. And I haven't been many places around the world yet. I do think Disney Seas will probably still beat out this park just because it's so well built up, and this park won't have the time for that. But I'm most excited for Monsters, if I haven't made that very clear. I love horror. I love the classic Universal monsters, and having a true horror themed ride has made me really excited. I think the tavern with the monster hunters and stuff, as long as that ends up happening, I will be super excited to eat there. And then obviously shopping. And then over at Harry Potter, I think I said it in the video, I think it will probably end up being the number one ride over there. I think it will be the one everybody talks about and wants to ride again because of its amazing sets and immersive areas, and I think that will be the one most people talk about. Even though it's not my personal number one, I definitely could see why a lot of people are excited for it. I'm excited for the interactive elements. Obviously, it kind of seems like that's what they're leaning into at this park. With not having as many rides, they're trying to create other experiences that you can have with 2 big shows and nighttime show and a lot of interactive stuff, while also making a ton of shops and dining and stuff. You definitely won't run out of those in this land. Or in the whole park, not just the land. I think overall, though, the park will be... there's going to be a lot of stuff to do. I think a lot of people are worried about rides. I'm a little worried about capacity, just because I think everyone will want to do rides, so every ride will have a 3-hour wait for a while. But obviously I don't think that's going to last forever. I'm excited to see what they do kind of for ticketing. They've talked about ticketing a little bit, but I don't think anything's set in stone yet, so I'm not going to talk about it here. And I also want to go encourage you to head over to both Universal's blog, because they've done full things about this, and go check out their videos on the different lands, because they've done kind of full announcements now for everything, and that's why I kind of made this video, because Harry Potter just got announced not too long ago, and they do more deep dives into what Universal Creative is looking into with these, and they show a little more glimpses of the land and stuff, and they do a little bit better about talking about stuff I don't even know about. So definitely go check those out. And again, thank you for watching. And we'll hopefully be at Epic as soon as it opens.